Yeah, so hello everyone. Today we're going to talk about something that has come up already the last times after we have entered all our music into Dorico. How can we format the score and the parts to look nice? And so first we're going to talk a little bit about terminology. That's basically the kind of words that Dorico is using. Then we'll talk about some guidelines and requirements for scores and parts. And it's those things we need to look out when we are preparing for actual musicians to do so. So Dorico uses a special terminology for working within it. I mean, some of it is special, some of it is kind of standard. Um, and let's go basically from big to small. Starting from the frame. The frame is basically a box on the page which is containing music, either of one staff or of several staves and several systems, and that will be printed on the page. It sounds a little complicated. Normally, by default, basically a frame is a page. So the music in a page. There's also music frames and there's text frames. For example, the title on top is in a text frame. The music is in a music frame. Then we have the system. The system is now, that's a more musical or like engraving term. It's basically all the bars and staves that will be played together from the left side of a page to the right side of a page. Might be that there are several systems on a page. Might be that there's only one system on a page, but basically a system is all the bars of all the instruments that are being played together. And then we have a staff, which makes up the systems, and one staff is basically these 5 lines. Can be also one line for percussion or any other amount of lines for other instruments, but usually it's 5 lines that are representing the different pitches or the different instruments. We will talk about that in a moment when we see it in Dorico once more. So these are the words that we need to know when we're working with Dorico. Then let's look at what are the requirements that we actually have for scores and parts. So a score is relatively simple. It should show all the instruments that are playing in a movement or in a piece. Um, For large ensembles, instrument staves that are not playing can be hidden to reduce clutter or save space. Um, and for very big ensembles, we can also use additional things like condensing, where we put multiple instruments onto one staff. This is not doable in Dorico SE. For this, you need the Dorico Pro version, but just that you have heard about it. And the score can be either transposing pitch or it can be sounding pitch. Depends on your application. I personally always recommend transposing pitch from my personal experience. I want to see what the musicians are seeing. I want to know how they are feeling when they perform the music. And it's on me to be able to read the transposing instruments. The other way around is much harder. But sometimes it can make sense to use the sounding pitch. The part, on the other hand, should only show the instruments that the player is playing. So if there's a flute part, they should show the flute, and if the flutist also plays the piccolo, of course there should also be the piccolo part included. They don't want to see the violin, they don't want to see the um, drums, percussion. There's something called cue, which we can use as a cue feature. If we have time, we will talk about that. Although I'm not sure it's in Dorico SE, I would have to check. I'm not sure. Um, but apart from that, it's just only that okay, this is where I need to enter. Yeah. If the player does not play in a movement, it should show tacit in this movement. And the instrument changes should be written, of course, appropriately. Dorico takes care of this for us if we use the multiple instruments per player feature that we were talking about. And the part, of course, should always, always, always be transposing pitch. I have been in recording sessions where the composer was giving it was a rehearsal session, not recording. Was giving a part to a trumpet player, and they went through the whole piece. They played it through. They went rehearsed section by section by section, and only in the very last chord, after 1 hour of rehearsal, they noticed the trumpet is playing in the wrong pitch because it was a B trumpet, but the part was in C. So always use transposing pitch. The Dorico, again, does this by default, so you don't have to change anything, but just, yeah, be careful. The person was not using Dorico, actually was using MuseScore. I don't know if that's a problem, but I think it's easier in Dorico to not make a mistake. Now, if we are going to valuable guidelines, then when we talk about parts, they usually are in the paper size A4 or B4. B4 is very uncommon, but it's sometimes a little better. A4 is the standard European paper size, which sometimes feels a little small, but it's manageable. Then if we talk about the size of the staff, we will talk about this also in a moment. It's the setting that's recommended is 7 mm. So this basically means between two lines of the staff, there should be 7 mm. This is kind of the standard way to define it. If the player is very close, for example, on the piano, it can also be 6 mm. If the player is very far away, like for example, double basses, it should be 7.5 mm. And why? Because you need to always think about that the music when you work on it and you edit on the computer, you're kind of close. But the musicians need to be able to read it from a distance and maybe also with a bad light. So don't make the parts too small. And of course, the part name should be written on top so we know actually which part it is that is to be performed, if it's a violin or the flute, etc. On scores, it's a little different. There you can use A4 formats if it's a small ensemble like chamber music. If it's an orchestra, you would rather go for A3 format. The staff size doesn't need to be as big because the conductor, when he conducts, he kind of sees the whole page, and when he rehearses, he has enough time to actually look at the music. So you're able to fit a little more music on the staff on the page. And if you are having chamber music, then you can also have 2 to 3 systems per page for chamber music, depending on the instrumentation. So it's better than to have like always half page filled. These are the kind of first rules and guidelines that we're going to talk about. And so let's look at it in Dorico. Here is a full score that already looks good, and we're trying to kind of create it in Dorico, which actually goes quicker than I personally would like. So I have to show you some other things. Again, about staff size, it's basically the distance between this line and this line. We will talk about it in a moment. So let's create a full score, and let's just start from a totally empty new full score, and we just call it a new full score so we know which one it is. And we want to have all our instruments and our arrangement here. So this is how it looks like, and you can see it does not look so good. First, we still have the piano here, which we actually don't want. And then, yeah, maybe some other things we actually don't want. So if we click on the new full score, this I showed you already in the beginning, we can just deactivate the piano, and it already looks kind of okay, too good for my taste. But let's work on things a little. Okay, so we have our setup here. In the library, there's one option that's called layout options. And this is where we are going to kind of spend today in, because these are all the options we can apply to the layout. So first we can kind of choose which layout we want to work in, and we have the different parts. and kind of different scores. And you can see that already some things are changing here. So let's start with the first thing. We choose our new full score that we created. We want to have it on an A4 paper. You can choose any other paper size here. You can also create your own paper size. You can also say, I might want to have it actually in a landscape. So I will have each page like this. We don't want that. Now we come to the page size and space size, and you can already see that's the distance between these two dots. And let's just have a look what happens when we change the size. So now we're at 7 millimeters, which is good for a part, but we said we recommend between 4.5 and 4.5 to 6 millimeters. And you can see that there are different sizes, which numbers. The higher the number of the size, the smaller the millimeters is. So if we choose the biggest option that's here, then we have to always hit apply. You can see we made it now very big. Now the paper didn't change, just everything is printed bigger on the paper. You can also make it very small, kind of the smallest. And you can see everything's very small. Now sometimes I had people giving me such scores, which is okay when you work on the computer, but when I had to record it, it was so small because they wanted to save paper, I don't know, or they were working on it, I don't know. But yeah, they would try to save paper. So this is of course way too small. Like that's 4 systems here. I said between 4.5 and 6. So let's just see if we use 4.5, then we can fit 3 systems per page. That's kind of okay. For me, I think 6 looks a little better. It's a little smaller. I don't mind, depending on your use case. If you are rehearsing a lot, sometimes players are also performing from the score, especially in chamber music. Then 6 millimeters is better because then it's easier for them to read. You can also add write in any of your own sizes here. It will just turn to custom, and so you can make it tiny. Yeah, so for the score, as I said, 6 millimeters. For the parts, and we can have a look at the alto saxophone. This is 7 millimeters. Where's the? And you can it works the same. 6 millimeters is somewhat okay. Um, but yeah, I would not go below that. And here's 7.4, for example, for if they're standing a little further away. You can see it all looks very natural in this range. Um, let's go back to the full score. Yeah, so in this way, we can also influence already kind of the layout. And you were already saying sometimes, oh, the layout is a little weird. And here already some things are, for example, happening in our full score, although it is 6 millimeters. Now, there's always ways to deal with it, but we will start kind of from the most general and we will work ourselves down from that. There's some other options about how much space on the outside there is, etc. Now there's one options in the flows, and you can also set page setup flows here. And it's basically if I have multiple flows, should they start always on a new page, or should they also be allowed to start on the same page? This option makes more sense for parts. This option makes more sense for scores. What I'm interested here now is I have this flow heading here. Partie is flow in German. I do not want that. So I can say show flow headings, for example, never. In this case, I only have one flow, so I don't want to show the flow heading, so it goes away. What a lot of people are doing, if it's like this, is they're going in here and they're just trying to delete it, but then you can see the space stays the same. And so this is not what we want actually. If we use never here, you can see that the space here will get used by the music. And so it looks a little nicer and more natural. Let me also turn off this track. Okay, so already this looks much nicer. Now, what I always do next is I go into, this is different than the German version. So staves and systems. And I'm talking about the stave label. So you see there's a lot of options. You can really go through a lot. We'll not go through everything. What I want to show is the stave labels, because usually in chamber music you want to have them at the beginning, maybe written out once, English horn, clarinet, etc. But then later you don't really want to have that anymore. And so um, we can say on the first system we want the stave labels full. We can also choose to make them abbreviated, for example. In this case, it would be fine, I guess. But on all the other systems, we want to get rid of them, so we don't want to show them, because from there on, it's kind of clear. Once you know the order of 5 instruments, it's not so hard to remember that. It's a different in orchestra. In orchestra, you would probably use the abbreviated version here. But for this chamber music, we don't really need that. And already what we're creating is more space. And you can see that everything looks a little more natural. Now, lastly, you can see that we have some collisions here. And this is what I will want to probably tackle next before I go to some special options. Um, and I usually would recommend you starting first with vertical spacing. Or maybe before we go to vertical spacing, let's go to horizontal spacing. Where is it? Note spacing. So the note spacing kind of tells you how much space is from the one note to the next. So from left to right, kind of how much space there is. And it's defined as the space around the quarter note. Dorico uses 4 as a default, which is very generous. It's a lot of space. It looks nice and clean though, so you can kind of use it. It's if you have simple music, it's also doable to use 3, for example. We can hit apply, and you see everything kind of is closer together. And in this way, we can maybe save some more pages in this. That's better to do than to try to cram a lot of systems in one. I personally don't like this. I think it's a little too close. For some Baroque music, it might be doable. So let's maybe go to 3.5. And you can see that everything looks a little more spread out and a little nicer. So you can play around with these settings. There's no general like rule of how to use it. Um, sorry. I had a water here, but I don't know where it is. Well, okay. Um, you can just play around with it. It really depends on the music. There's no general rule. The defaults of Dorico are rather well in general. But you can already see that just changing that, we are kind of changing the whole layout of the music. And okay, here we still have collisions, but they are now different collisions. But we are somewhat making progress. So these are kind of the most important settings that I find. There's one option that is often useful, which does not really apply here, and this is this option, which sometimes you have this kind of small tail, um, and so you can try to set it like this here, so it kind of expands the last system, so it kind of would end here, and you can deactivate it, and it will be pulled out all the way to the right. But usually when it's like this, I will try to make a little different note spacing, for example, and make it a little more, and you will see that it might affect the whole layout. So this is just a little playing around, see what works best for the music that you have written in this case. And now lastly, because we still have these 3 systems here, we can actually get rid of that by vertical spacing. And vertical spacing is exactly just the space between the different staves and different systems. There's different kind of groups. And so you can kind of say, okay, from staff to staff, for example, here to here, it should be ideally 6 spaces. And spaces is kind of the unit for everything. It comes from this, yeah, space size. So this is kind of everything in the music world is measured with this space. These 6 millimeters, they're now called one space. So if I change this, for example, to 12, you can see that now the space between the systems became very, very big. You can also change it to 22, and it became even bigger. And Dorico is kind of stretching it out additionally to fit the whole page. So this is now more than 22. I can also turn this off for now. Oh, wait, how was it? Uh, where was it? Now I have to change this to like this, I think. Yeah. So I just turned this automatic stretching off for a second so we can see the effect of this spacing here better. Yeah, so this is now 22. This is now, for example, 18. And we're just kind of making this zoom out and in. The default of Dorico is 6, like this. And yeah, there's other options from groups to single staffs, between groups. So there's very granular options on how to space different things. Um, in chamber music, usually that doesn't really interest us. What interests us here is the space between the systems. And this is here 10. And I would just increase it a little so we can get rid of these 3 systems. So this is what I would use here, just to make this to 16, for example. Hit apply. And now we only have 2 systems per page throughout. And if I now turn back on these settings, which I just changed to be able to show you this. So this was how it was by default. I just changed it to show you this different vertical settings. We already have a very nice looking score. And we did not do any manual adjustment yet. So all we did is actually just um, create general settings which make our score look good by default. And thus we already have a good layout, and we don't need to go to every single measure to look for that. Um, yeah, now one more thing. There's a section here where some instruments are not playing for longer. And there's this option which is staff visibility. And we can say, please hide staffs which have no music. And either after the first system, which is kind of common. So in the first system, you won't see all the instruments that are about to play, or in all systems, which is a little less common. And if I apply that, nothing changes here on the front. But now here, of course, the number of staffs is changing. So here I only have 3, here I have 4, here I have 4, here I have 5 again. Now, if you do this, which can be reasonable because you can save some space, I think in chamber music it's not so necessary. You can just have these sections like this. Only if there's a really long section, I would maybe do it. You know, then you can use it. I would in chamber music not really recommend it because if you do that, you need to bring back also the staff labels. So because now I don't know which of these instruments are playing, so I need to bring back them, which now I know that it's English horn, clarinet, and bassoon. So of course this has to go in combination. I personally do not like that in chamber music. I think this is easier to work with, but again, if it's a bigger ensemble, this might make sense. Yeah, and I think this is that for now about kind of the general layout. Now, there might be, of course, always the things that are a little more special or that need manual intervention, things that you maybe think you want differently. Um, for example, you feel like you want to start this C section on a new staff. Um, oh yeah, actually, I wanted, I actually didn't do that. The terminologies. So the frame, sorry about that. So the frame is what we have here now. Is kind of this page, and there's a music frame here. Then the staff is all of these instruments. Yeah, so this is one staff, one system, sorry, one system. So we have here two systems, and each system has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 staffs or staves. So this is kind of the big to small. So the frame around is on one page. Then we have a system, and then we have a stave in each system. So why is this important? Because in Dorico, we have options to kind of influence that. We can, for example, say, okay, I want this to start on the next staff, so down here, or I want this to start on the next frame, which would be the next page. And to do this, we have the frame break and we have the system break. Now, these are kind of absolute, they stay on this position. So if I, for example, do a frame break here, I only have this one stave on this one first page and everything moved then to the second page. If I now ever change my settings, for example, I will make the notes, the page setup, the music smaller, I might get confused. Why does it not move here? Especially if I do not have the signposts showing me that there's a frame break. So this is a manual intervention that Dorico will respect in any case, but it can also lead to confusion. This is why I would never, or I would try to only use it really in the end. So you are trying first to get a good layout with all these settings that I have shown you so far. And only if then there's something comes up, you can try to use these tools. Okay, so we have seen the frame break, which moves the music from this point on to the next page. System break moves it to the next system, which is not so extreme. So this moves kind of down here. Yeah, so I can also do stuff like this. If I put another system break here, yeah, then I will have only one system with one bar, which is now very stretched out. So in this way, you can create new systems. Now you can see that this system was put automatically to a new page because there wasn't enough space for 3 systems on the first page. You can also try to force things, but I think that's only possible in Dorico Pro. Yeah, okay, then it's anyhow not so relevant. It's a really dangerous option. Yeah, but basically this is how you can create manual breaks in your music and make it look even better. In my case, I made it worse because I wanted to show you the effects of these things. You can, of course, also select them and just delete them, and everything will go back to as it was before. So this is very powerful, and it might make sense in some ways. For example, there was some, yeah, so for example, I feel like, oh, here, this E part, maybe I want this to start on a new system. And then Dorico will automatically space out everything before to kind of match. So it kind of tries to be smart about it and not have one bar here. And in this way can be more strategic about it. So you just use one system break and from there on everything looks fine. Maybe you want this on a system break as well. And yeah, now kind of you have one more page for that, which is not so nice. So maybe this wasn't such a good idea, these two system breaks. A lot of it is trying out yourself. Um, yeah, but in general, maybe if we don't do the first one, but we only do the second one, yeah, this looks a little nicer. So now we start with F here and we fill the last page fully, and everything before also looks somewhat okay. Yeah, so this is kind of how the general view things work. All of this, of course, also works in parts, and I will go to some more special things in parts. Um, but all of these, what I showed you, does not only apply to the full score, you can also do it on the parts. One more thing I wanted to show you is the brackets and braces, which I realized for me worked out very well because I chose the orchestral, because I have only woodwind instruments. But if I, for example, have another horn in F, you see that it's not really connected here. And there's no real reason why to do it. In chamber music, it shouldn't be like this. In orchestra, they should, of course, be separated. So in the layout options in braces and brackets, you have different options. You can have no brackets at all, which is sometimes okay for chamber music. There's different wind band, big band, British bass band for chamber music. You can use a small ensemble. Everything is then now together. So this is also what I would recommend. So everything just looks a little more neat and more professional. Yeah, and so this is how, and very quickly and basically even faster than the time I needed to explain to you, because it was looking already very well from the get-go. You can create a nice looking score just by changing the page setup here, um, then making sure that the flow heading is not there, making sure that the labels are set correctly, taking care of note spacing, so spacing from left to right, and vertical spacing, and all of this together, you can create a nice and clean score. Now, if we talk about some instruments, that's there's some more options, which I actually don't think I have the instruments here. I was showing you already some things. Let me just see if I have sorry, if I have um, where is it? I do not have it here. Um, yeah, I was already showing you with the drums and with the guitars. There's different options here that are dependent on the player. First of all, um, we are in the clarinet layout, so we should go to the clarinet layout. Is it transposing? Yes, it's default transposing. By the way, our full score wasn't transposing. We could also, of course, do that. This I forgot. So we can make it transposing. We can also allow instrument changes. This is also by default. If I don't do that, what you will see is we will have always two instruments. But yeah, we usually don't wanna change that. Um, what's more important is stuff like fingering, hard pedaling. If we have percussion instruments, then they will also appear here. And if we have guitar instruments, they will also appear here in a way that we can tell, for example, that what I already showed when I add a guitar. Um, let's just do that. That, for example, in the score, we have the guitar. But in the part for the guitar, I don't want this to be the 5 stars, but in players, now I have, um, where is it? Fretted instruments, yes. Why does it not, sorry. Ah, yeah, now it's here. Okay. In fretted instruments, as soon as I have a guitar, I can, for example, say, I only want tablature. I will apply it, and now I have the tablature here. While in the full score, I still have notation. So this is, of course, what's doable Similar with drum instruments, I can show the different presentations of five-line staff, grid representation, etc. All these things I can do here. These are special. I can show harp pedaling in the harp part, but not in the full score. I can um, I can make fingering only show in the full score and not in the hard part. So I can do a lot of things in the full score, which are actually not I don't have to show in the part. Yeah, and in this way I can make a nice looking parts. And let's just go to one part. And again, by default, Dorico creates already good looking parts. We have the name here on top. And in new versions, it's already a box around it, which I think is nicer. In this version where I created it, it was not yet. So, and we can already kind of go through it again. Maybe try to make it a little nicer. We have here some bars left, which I don't think we need to have. I think we can get it, for example, on 3 pages. Now, with parts, you always have to be somewhat careful because there's page turns that you need to think of. So you need to kind of think when does the instrument have time to do a turn. Now this clarinet part is very busy, so it's kind of no time until here. But maybe there's some time to do a page turn here, for example, after this long note. Um, so these are the things that we have to think about here as well. So let's first start and kind of take care again. I think size of 7 is maybe good. Maybe because clarinet can be a little closer, let's make 6.5. And already we are down to 3 pages, and I think that's totally doable. And now we have to kind of think about page turns. And so let's try to get the frame break here at C. And what I will do now is I will just change the note spacing again. I think this is um, rather far apart. I can try to make it like this. And now it got a little better. Maybe let's make it a little smaller. Yeah, we're getting there. Maybe let's use 3. Is it still doable? Yeah, 3 is still okay. And now the C jumped a little too far, but we can use our frame break, our friend, the frame break. And now the next page starts here at C. And so this is good. They have a little time to maybe change the page here. And maybe let's do the next frame break to not have it like this here at E. And now you have somewhat a nice part. Um, yeah, that's okay. It stops here after half a page, but okay, it still looks good. We have good frame breaks to change the page, and yeah, it looks somewhat nice. And in this way, we achieved already a nice looking part. And you see, it really just doesn't take a lot of time, and yeah, it just looks good by default. Okay. So much from my side about how to format parts and how to format scores. If you have any questions now, then you can, of course, ask them.
Maybe one question.
Yeah.
I already tried to apply note spacing for my score. I was doing Ravel
Mm-hmm.
to the harp part, and it didn't went well. Can you please show it
Yeah.
how to do it?
So you were talking about this hard part?
Not about harp part, full score.
I see.
There was a page with maybe yes, oh, start
Yeah,
right
yeah.
here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what I already said back then is what I would do here is actually I would The full score, it uses the staff size 7, which is very, very big. I would actually go down to 6 at least. And so everything now maybe look a little wrong, but we can try to fix it later. And maybe even 5.5. This is kind of really the problem of A4 paper size. It doesn't really fit so well for music. But while we do it already smaller, you can see that this issue of this bar is already gone. So the bar now fits the whole page. Now, what is, of course, another problem is that we usually don't fit two systems here, which would be nice. Um, so we can try to work on that by making it just even smaller. We or make the page bigger, which is problematic. So yeah, it's kind of hard with this instrumentation. What does it do here? Why does it not? There's no collisions. Yeah, so really the instrumentation is really hard to work with. Um, okay, if we go to a custom of 1 millimeter, then things get a little better. Let's just hide that for now. Yeah, but gets a little small here. There's a lot of small notes, of course. Um, if you want to keep it in a big range, um, maybe it's 6.5. Um, this is still, I think, went away. Yeah, so there's only full bars, so you don't have this issue here. And now, of course, this doesn't look so nice, but we can adjust that. In the vertical spacing, there's this option, vertical justification. Justification means kind of exactly this pulling down. And it says justify only when the frame is at least 60% full. So this frame is less than 60% full. It's kind of 59, I guess. You can just make this one smaller, and or like make it like 10, and then it will always pull it down like this. And so you have a little more consistent layout here. So this is another way. Either make it much smaller, which I don't know if I really liked, or do it like this and pull it higher. Make it bigger, but make it consistent so it does not jump up and down. And lastly, the note spacing. Yeah, you tried to change the minimum space for short notes, which is, I think, understandable, but um, everything starts from this 4, so we really have to do this one smaller, and you can see how it changes here. If you change this one, they get closer, but I don't think they need to be really so close. So if you already do this, you can already see that the music gets much closer actually here. And in these pages, it will just be very, very like this. But yeah, I think this is already much better. And you can even try to go down to here. It didn't really change anything because these bars, they will just be like this. Yeah, they would just take up a full page. Um, yeah, but there's this combination and you have to just try to combine certain things. Now maybe make it a little smaller so it looks a little more natural. Yeah, and this is kind of how to go through, and I think this already looks better. Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, so it's in general just exactly playing with mostly this page setup, this restful size, space size setting, and the note spacing, um, and also vertical spacing, either the staff to staff or the intersystem gap, which here you don't have two systems on a page, so it's not that doesn't really apply. Yeah, but So this is you just have to experiment and get also a little experience with what to do. Are there any other questions? If not, please just continue on your work on instrumentation. I hope you already chose a piano piece that you want to make an instrumentation of. If you have any questions, if you want to share your current progress, or if you want to share something else, we can talk about this now. I think today, of course, will be a little shorter because now you're in the progress of actually making the instrumentation. Next lesson, we're going to talk about creating and exporting playback. So let's look at all these options there that we have to kind of change the playback. Yeah, and so I would say we skip the break for today, and if you have any projects that you want to share or want me to look at, similar to what Alexi just shared, yeah, we can talk about it. I see that Roman sent me something, right?
Yeah, I thought I just had to show my progress. I just
Yeah, of
made
course.
the for piano. Yeah.
Yeah, very nice. So do you want to make an instrumentation of that?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh
Yeah.
wow, that's cool. Let me just. I mean, I like that you already worked with voice colors. That shows very professional approach. No, really, it's not sarcastically. It's really good. So it just looks like you really made sure that everything is very well prepared for the next step.
Mhm.
And so I think it looks kind of good. Again, these oh, it is a gradual tempo. Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay,
Mhm.
that's cool. That's very nice. Okay, this was my probably first comment. Um, so here we have a third voice. Um, yeah, I see. Makes sense. Um, yeah, I think it looks really good. It will be very hard to orchestrate, to instrument, I think, to make instrumentation, because of these patterns. So do you already know which instruments you want to use?
I wanted to make it for strings only. I
Mm-hmm.
think maybe sometimes add some harp.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, so strings playing this, I don't think they're so flexible in this way.
Mhm.
But they can do like trills, like tremolos, like very well, but like these complicated up and down patterns, they're not so good for this actually. Um, but maybe did you use a different sound or
No, it was
was it
like
piano,
I
right?
didn't. Yeah, it was piano only.
It sounds like a flute here.
I don't know why.
Um, playback. Ah, the project is not activated. That's why. Okay. Yeah, we were still in this project. That's why. Ah, yeah. Yeah, I would just stop here. So yeah, these patterns, they're very easy to do with the strings. This will be very hard. I think what you can do is kind of trick it. So I will just actually, I don't know which instruments you want to give it to. I will just create two violins.
Okay.
Um, and so what I would probably do is fake it, for example, with the first violin. What is it? I will just copy this. Oops, there's not a six tuplet. And I will also copy it down here. And probably what I will do is do
You want to divide them, yeah, between the
yeah,
string.
but divide them also and change the, I mean, this will be now a triplet, but also change the rhythm a little. So it's actually yeah, how is it? Oops, no. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm a little, yeah, so something like this. And so if we play this, yeah, so something like this is more realistic, especially if you make each of them like this, a slur. So um, because one instrument playing this, I think, is very, very hard, near to impossible, especially in this tempo. And that's not what I wanted. Yeah, take this. And so this, I think, is more realistic. It's not true to the piano really because it's moved 16th triplet. So it's not 100% the same, but I think it's playable opposed to the piano, which is like it's kind of, the same feeling. Um, but yeah, so it's not 100% identical, but I would probably try to do something like this, just from how it's playable for the strings.
Mhm.
Um,
Okay. So can I ask?
yeah.
So like on the last page,
Mm-hmm.
we have some, or not,
Yeah.
page number 17. Yeah.
I will just quickly get rid of that.
Oh, the last one now. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
You can see these tires.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how to make it like in the oh, make it sound like a tie, yeah, but not to put it all along the bar.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's not possible. I don't know. In free
Um,
version.
like you don't want to write it, but like, do you think about the instruments or like about what?
About how it looks, actually.
Ah, I
This
see.
tie, yeah, all along the bar. Yeah.
Just how it looks. So you don't want to have the tie, but you want it to sound like this.
Yeah, yeah.
You can do that by making this. We will talk about this next time in more detail. This is maybe a preview. And you can just, for example, do that. And then you can just take the audio of them and make it longer here, and it will not reflect here. So this is what we'll be talking about next time in the playback section. Yeah. So this is what you can do here.
Oh, okay. Could you please open PDF file, this piece? I
Yeah.
will show I'll just show.
This one. The last page. Yeah.
the next bar, so you
Yeah.
can see how it's done. Yeah.
These. Okay, yeah, sure. You can also do that. That's also actually very simple. So in the playback, you can take care of this,
Mhm.
and in the to this, there's something called a laisser vibrer tie. It's just let ring,
Oh,
and it's just one property, and it's very, very simple, and it will look like this.
okay, super. Thank you, thank you.
Yeah, no worries. And yeah, then you already, it's kind of the same as this, meaning
Mhm.
just French for lettering. And yeah, apart from that,
Okay.
I will be very interested in how you make this arrangement because yeah, it's really cool, but it's also challenging.
Mhm.
But it will be, I think, if you make a good arrangement, string players will love it. Uh, that's a cool piece to perform, especially these blocks here. That will be that will be cool. Um,
Can I ask one more question?
yeah, of course.
Maybe I just missed that from like previous lesson, but I can't remember when you make instrumentation. So should I make another flow for that, like to watch on the score, piano score, yeah, and the same time I will make instrumentation another. So how do you make it when you're making the instrumentation?
So when I do the instrumentation, what I do is I just or maybe let's add it just like sorry. I will just add my instruments. Um, whatever. I love wind instruments. And then you can just for example, have the full score that you liked before, that it was nice, and you can just call it full score piano. Then what I like to do is sometimes I have what I call, for example, arranging. It's just all the instruments. And sometimes I just have then, for example, ensemble, and I will take out the piano. And now I can work in my arranging uh, um, layout. I can work here in Galley view, and I can just do things like I can select these things. I can try to filter, for example, only for the voice, upstem voice one. I can copy it into my flute or in my clarinet, which could play these things a little better. And like this, I can go, for example, through the piece. Um, that's actually good to work with voice colors here. Yeah, for example, say, okay, I want this part of this voice and copy it into the bassoon. Now that something is off. Is it a 30-second off? Do you need to? Yeah, exactly. And so I can work in my arranging layout, and then I can go to my ensemble layout and can listen here how it sounds. And I can just work like this. I can also have view. I think we can do a new tab. Or was it with a new tab window? New tab. And so what you can have here, for example, is just different tabs and that you can switch between. Yeah, so you can, for example, do this. You can also create a new window. Sometimes it's nice to do it like this. And for example, work on what I have here before, ensemble. Then just do the piano here and, for example, have my arranging layout on the left in Galley view. Now I think my screen resolution will not be good enough and my piano on the right. Like this. And I can also work like this. So these are just different options. I like to work in this view the most, and then, for example, have here my ensemble, and then I can see here kind of only the ensemble and quickly go here for playback. and be like, ah, okay, maybe I want to add these notes to the flute, an octave higher, and then I can just play it back. Yeah, and so this is how I would work. Kind of going from instrumentation of the piano to the flute. And these filters that I showed you, they're actually very useful. So you can really kind of just filter the whole thing. You can also, for example, go here and say, okay, there are always 4 notes in the chord, and I always want the flute to play the first note. So I can say filter, for example, notes in chords, the top note, the second note, the third note, the fourth note, or the bottom note. So I can just choose this top note, and it only will filter the top note, and I can say, okay, I want this in the flute here. And then I can go back and be like, okay, the second note I want to put into the clarinet. And you see it will only select the second note. And in this way, I can continue working. So these filters are very, very effective. There's also other things that are sometimes helpful, such as, for example, reduce or explode. This is kind of the same what I did right now. You can copy everything and just say, okay, explode this here, and it will, hello? Oh, I think it's too little. Okay, let's do this. Let's do these 2 voices because it's only 3 steps, so I don't think it works. I can use explode here, and it will. Why doesn't it do anything? Copy, paste, explode. Somehow it doesn't do that. That's weird. Okay, usually it should kind of spread it out automatically on the bassoon. Maybe I have to do it like this. No. I don't know. What's also helpful, if you have it here, you can, for example, say move it to the staff above, and it will move it to the flute. There's a duplicate to the staff below, so you can just copy it. And in this way, you can arrange very quickly, actually, in Dorico, using these features. I don't know why this explode didn't work. Or does it need to be in different voices? This would be weird. Should also work in... No, it just doesn't do anything. All right, interesting. Yeah. But so in this way you can very easily with filters, there's a lot of filters that you can use, mostly like notes, grace notes, different voices, different notes and chords. You can filter rest, you can filter dynamics, etc. So for example, once you have everything copied to the music, then you just want to filter all the dynamics. So copy all the dynamics, so you can go edit, filter all dynamics, and then you can just paste them here, and then you can say duplicate to the staff below once and twice, and you have it now in all 3 parts. So yeah, this can also be very helpful, these kind of things. Does that help?
Yep. Thank you. I will check it
Yeah.
in the recording of the video again because there are many information. But yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, that's true. There's a lot. But I think the main thing is what I do is I have one layout where all the instruments are, and I can work there, and I can go in another layout to listen to what I did, and to use the filter section. It's very helpful to go from the piano to the different instruments. And so you can also combine filters. For example, you can say in this bar, I want to filter first for the downstem voice 2, which is it seems not to work right now, which is a little annoying. It's the green voice, right? It's downstem voice 1, sorry. To filter for the downstem voice 1, of course you should know that. And then you can say, I want to filter from that only the bottom chord, the bottom note. And in this way, you can get, for example, the bottom line of this, and you can put it into the bassoon. Now, there's also the other way to filter deselect certain things, for example. So you want to filter to select only these things, but to deselect other things. This would be, in this case, for example, easier. You can say deselect only, and then you can say, I want to deselect the upstem voice. So what I have now is everything but the red notes, and then I can put it here. You can create shortcuts in Dorico for a lot of things, and I would recommend you doing that. In the key commands, you see there's filter, and you have all these options and that you can create key commands for. And so, for example, you can say the fourth note or single note. You can also say the bottom note, or the top note. It's not sorted very well, and you see that I created shortcuts here. And the way Dorico works with shortcuts, actually, you don't have to press all these buttons together, but you can also press them after each other if you're fast enough. So, for example, I have created the triple Command Shift and F. Wait, where's my keycaster? Yeah. And then I press Q, and then I press H, and then what I get is I filter for the top note. And so if I do this, I had deselect turned on. That was the opposite. So if I do this combination, I can quickly select the top note. And I have my own logical system. This means kind of filter. Q is when I want to filter chords, and H then means the highest note. I can also filter for the lowest note. So I have Command Shift F, Q, and lowest note. If I do this in a quick succession, then I will filter for the lowest note. So you can use key commands very effectively to not always have to right-click, filter, voices, notes, etc., but to actually, be a little faster. For example, I can select always only notes and chords by Command Shift F for filter, and then N for notes and chords. I have also a filter for dynamics. It's again Command Shift F and then D, and I will select only the dynamics. And so in this way, because you can do it sequentially, the shortcuts, not only simultaneously, it's actually very powerful, and you can make smart systems about working with Dorico. So this is just a workflow tip.
Yeah, that's really cool. Thank you.
Okay, are there any other questions about this project, or
I think about this project I have no questions. So
okay.
thank
If you have
you.
any questions, we still have of course next time. Are there any other projects or things or questions?
So still, if nobody has, can I ask one more?
Yeah, of course.
The last one is about Dorico versions. So you said there are three versions, like the free one, the pro one, and the one elements, yeah, between them.
Yeah.
So can we use like move dynamics and some texts in a free way in the second version?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I have it here in, oops, on the website. In German. Can I turn it quickly to English? No, I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, you can do that. And I can actually show you because when you have Dorico, you can start the different versions with different shortcuts. So what you have now, what I have open now is you can see the Dorico SE 5. I will just quit it and just don't save anything, and I can show you how Dorico Elements looks like. Just one moment. Okay, it kind of did not work. Okay, so now I have Dorico Elements. You can see here. And what you have in Dorico Elements is you already have this one more mode. It's the engrave mode. It's not the full engrave mode, so there's something missing here. You can see there's an arrow, but you cannot click it. So there's some things. And here you can also see already the frames. So you see that there are frames here. You cannot change the frames. This is something that you can only do in Pro. But what you can do is you can change some other elements here. So for example, I can select now this pianissimo, and I can move it freely actually. So a lot of the things with the slurs that were problematic, you can actually in elements change. So this is, I think, very nice. You can really make fine adjustments, or here on the last page, where was it? Yeah, you can, for example, say, okay, these cool, but please get out of the way, you know? So you can kind of do these things in Dorico Elements. And as I think it only costs 70 or something euros. I'm not 100% sure actually right now. But yeah, Dorico Elements. It's 99 euros right now. Okay. There are also some education discounts, so I think you should be also eligible for that. Yeah, and so these things you can do. You can also do moving. Oops, that was too fast. Clicking. Here you can also move, for example, these systems around manually if there's some collision which you need to avoid. Or you can also move the notes a little. So you can do these kind of things. So this is something you can do in Elements already. What you cannot do is change the frame and everything that's connected with the frames and the stuff. But it already has a lot of options. I think the player limit is that's a good question. Where is it?
8, I guess.
No,
Or-
the Dorico free version has 8.
Yes.
Elements has 24, I think.
Wow.
So, oh, actually, no limit. Yeah, they removed the limit. So they tried to make it more and more usable. Yeah. So, but actually, again, I don't know how to turn it in English. Seems to have my location. It's actually unlimited in Dorico Elements, and yeah. So Dorico Elements is really, really usable for I think most people who have a small, who want to go into arranging a little. It's not too expensive. It really has a lot of options to make the score look a little better because these things It wasn't always like that, actually. In the first versions of Dorico Elements, there was not these possibilities, but it was really the case that it was unusable and you paid still 100 euros. And there was these things that we also noticed sometimes. So they included these options to be able to move some things around. So you can really now move things freely as well.
That's the dream when I'm just entering some scores
Yeah.
to move these things. Yeah. So it's not the subscription, yeah. So you can
No,
buy and use it. Yeah,
exactly. It's one time, lifetime.
that's cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So just to informate, maybe if someone wants to buy it, when I was using Dorico once, I had some really good. I forgot how to say it. So they suggested me to buy it for only 50 euros, so not the 100. So maybe
Yeah.
you can yeah should find it somehow.
There
Again,
are sales sometimes that are
yeah.
happening with, and again, if I just click for education, it's actually cheaper. So, and if, for example, your Odessa University, music universities, would decide to buy, f 5 people would get together and buy together, like make an order, then it would be even cheaper.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, this is also other options. So if there's 5 students from you that would like to buy Dorico, you could get together, contact the Dorico sales team. I can also, if you are too scared, you can also contact me and I can try to contact them at your behalf. And yeah, see, then you get an even cheaper version for 40 euros.
That's cool. Okay. Useful information. Thank you.
Yeah, I usually don't talk about this because I don't want to be like a salesperson. I also don't get money for it, but yeah, I think it's very fair, especially these multi-seat, multi-user. Multi-user is kind of wrong because everyone has their own license. So but it needs to be kind of 5 people from one university need to get together and kind of buy it at once.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, if there are no more questions, then thank you so much for today. We see each other next week talking about playback. And yeah, have a great week.
Thank you. Thank you too. Bye.